Happy Christmas to all you Horshes out there. Now I hope that Santa brought you all the gifts that you asked for and you are having a great old Christmas time. And seeing how it is Christmas, it's time to look at the greatest Christmas film of all time. Feckin' Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay. You hang in there. Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Die Hard is a 1988 action movie film directed by John McClane, who also directed Predator, so this lad knows his action movie film stuff. It stars Bruce Willis as John McClane, a cop who has come to LA to meet his wife and family for Christmas, but ends up having to save his wife and her co-workers after a bunch of bad lads take the building hostage in order to rob the place. Our movie film begins with John shitting a brick while on a plane, but this lad beside him has some pretty solid advice for him.
After you get where you're going, take off your shoes and your socks, then you walk around on the rug barefoot and make fists with your toes.
Fist with your toes.
John, being the clear fancy pants that he is, gets picked up by a limo driver called Argyle, who is there to take him to Nakatomi Plaza to meet John's wife Holly. But John decides to ride up front with Argyle while this teddy bear just chills in the back, living it up big style. Argyle talks John's ear off, asking about his life and marriage on the way. Now it turns out that John and Holly are having a spot of bother at home, and John is hoping to right the ship. But Argyle is worried John will feck it all up, so when they arrive at their destination, he decides to wait for John in the car park in case Holly tells him to feck off.
I'm gonna pull in the parking garage and I'll wait. You score, you give me a call on the car phone. I'll take your bags to the desk. You strike out, I'll get you a hotel.
You're all right, Argyle.
John heads up to the building's Christmas party, where he meets the boss of the company, Takagi, and this absolute gobshite Henry Ellis, who was having himself a white Christmas. Holly shows up, and herself and John go have a nice old chinwag about John coming home to stay at her gaff, and John is well up for that. But then the two of them have a bit of a domestic. But before it can be settled, Holly has to go and make a speech. Meanwhile, a bunch of shady looking lads have shown up at the plaza, and they end up dusting the security lads before letting other baddies inside. Now this epic looking lad is our villain, Hans Gruber, played by the legend that is the late Alan Rickman. While all this is going on, upstairs John is trying out that shoe trick the lad at the start told him about.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, you're happy now, John, but you won't be later. Hans and his boys take control of the whole tower and lock it down, and these party poopers are about to wreck the place. John sees all this go down and he gets the feck out of there and heads upstairs, but leaves his feckin' shoes behind like an Aegis. Hans and his boys decide to take the boss man hostage. They want his code for the building to get all his monies. While this is happening, John is sneaking about the place and spying on the meeting. Mr. Takagi refuses to give Hans the code, so you know what's about to happen to Mr. T here. Hashtag dushed. Once again, John sees all this happen and he gets the feck out of there. Now it turns out the bad lads are trying to break into this big ass vault to get all the money inside. While they figure out how to do that, Johnny Boy is having a bit of a think and sees the fire alarm and pulls it like the prankster that he is. But the bad lads quickly put a stop to that and send some lads to go sort John out. Blondie here thinks he's a badass with his machine gun, but John gets the drop on him.
Kid, it's the police.
You won't hurt me.
Oh, he's going to bush the absolute face off you. The two of these feckin' Egypts stumble down the stairs and Blondie breaks John's fall with his neck, making him hashtag dush. John, being the sound lad that he is, sends Blondie down as a Christmas gift to the other baddies.
Now I have a machine gun.
Translation, you boys are fucked now. And John, being the clever girl that he is up in the vent spying on these lads. And just like Santi, he's making a list, and you bet he's going to check it twice before dusting these lads. So he heads to the roof to make a call to the cops, but they ain't listening to him one bit.
Attention, whoever you are, this channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
No fucking shit, lady! Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
But fuck, the bad lads show up and John has to get the fuck out of there. But don't worry, as the real hero of the movie film is on his way, this absolute legend, Officer Al Powell. John manages to get the fuck away from the bad lads by going into the elevator shaft and feckin' drops right into another one to crawl away, and he ain't best pleased about all the madness that has been going on.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Thor here knows well what John's up to, but yet he still somehow manages to feckin' miss him. But John is saved by the arrival of Al, who is here to scope the place out. But Al doesn't believe that there is anyone up to devilment at all at this place, as this fake security lad tells him, "'Tis an all sound job here, officer. No one is up to any tomfoolery at all." And Al is just like, sound job, good luck so. But while Al is leaving, poor Johnny Boy gets attacked again. But don't worry, as he ends up dusting not one of these lads, but feckin' two. And one of them even helps him to get Al to stay. And just to be sure Al gets the message, John starts to shoot at the poor fecker, who freaks the fuck out and calls for backup. So all the police in the feckin' city come calling to the plaza, but Hans doesn't give a shit as he plays it cool. That is until John calls for an old chinwag.
You have me at a loss. You know my name, but who are you?
too many movies as a child?
Here now, it's not just the Yanks who love a good old action movie film. This all leads to John delivering one of action film's most famous lines.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
John and Al hook up over the radio and the romantic subplot of this movie film begins to form. Having formed a special connection with John, Al tells the commanding officers that his spidey sense is telling him that he's a cop.
Maybe not LAPD, but he's definitely a badge.
How do you know that?
It's cause they were both connected on a deeper emotional level, that's how. So it turns out that one of the lads John dusted had all the detonators for the boom booms that Hans and the boys were going to use. And they aren't best pleased that John has them now. Outside, the cops decide to be daft bastards altogether and storm the feckin' building. But Hans and his boys are having none of that shite. But don't worry, cause John comes in with the boom booms and the save. I think he might have overdone it a little bit there. How the fuck is that whole building not just coming crashing down? Anywho, John is a little bit pissed, but his bestie Al is here for him.
Hey, Roy, how you feeling?
Pretty fucking unappreciated, Al.
Hey, look, I love you.
After all this madness, Ellis, the slippery snake, goes to negotiate with Hans. So while Al and John are flirting up a storm, Hans calls to cockblock them.
Well, now that's a date. But you're gonna have to bring the ice cream.
Touching, cowboy, touching. Or should I call you Mr. McClane?
Ellis tries to sweet talk John into giving them the detonators.
Hey, John, I think you could get with the program a little, huh? The police are here now. It's their problem. Now tell these guys what the detonators are so no one else gets hurt. You know, I'm putting my life on the line for you, pal.
Hans, this asshole is not my friend. I just met him tonight. I don't know him. Jesus Christ, Ellis, these people are gonna kill you. Tell them you don't know me.
Fuck this slimy bastard. Let them dust him. And that's Ellis. Hashtag dust. What a fucking idiot. What was he even thinking? Well, you know what they say.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hans then buys himself some time by making a list of daft demands from the police. You know, stuff like letting a bunch of tourists go, a big old bag of cans, and 100 green skittles. But mostly the tourist stuff. The FBI show up and take over the crime scene. Oh, you know well these daft asses are just going to feck it all up. Meanwhile, Hans has gone for a bit of a walkabout himself on the tower. What is this lad up to now, the devil?
Don't kill me, please. No, please. Don't kill me, please.
Whoa, relax. Relax, I'm not gonna hurt you.
John, what do you add? That is clearly a fake accent.
Come on, you want to stay alive? You stay with me.
No, John, you're being a big feckin' idiot. Well, the two of them decide to get to know each other over some small talk, but Hans notices something about John. Seriously, John, you're being a big daft fool. That is the head bad lad. Dust him to fuck now. Jesus Christ, he's only gone and given him a gun. Which not even a second later he points at John. See, John, I told you should have dusted him.
Oops.
Oh, John, you crafty bastard. He didn't even put bullets in there. But fuck, He-Man and the rest of the boys are here to shoot up the place again. John ends up dusting two of them, but Hans, the clever lad, decides to shoot all the feckin' windows in the place, which is going to really fuck John up because...
Still no sign of the shoes, man. Having a fucking nightmare every day.
But John manages to get away, but loses the shagging detonators. But getting away caused John to pick up a ton of glass in his feckin' feet. And himself and Al have another heart-to-heart. This is truly the greatest romance in action film history. Meanwhile, Hans and the boys are working out how to get into the feckin' vault. And it turns out the FBI want the Powers building cut, which will open the feckin' thing. Which is just what Hans wanted. Oh, I feckin' knew these dopes would fuck it up more.
Merry Christmas.
And yet people say Die Hard isn't a Christmas film. Hans and the boys get what they are looking for, and the FBI are going to even send them a feckin' whirlybird.
We've shut them down. We let them sweat for a while, then we give them helicopters. Right up the ass.
Meanwhile, John goes to check why Hans was out and about on the roof earlier and finds a ton of boom booms. But then Carl gets the feckin' drop on him before he can do anything about it. And himself and this wannabe Thor begin to batter the fuck out of each other. But oh fuck, downstairs Hans figures out that Holly is John's woman.
Mrs. McClane. Honors to make your acquaintance.
Meanwhile, the FBI are bringing in some serious whirlybirds to deal with the bad lads. Feckin' Thor ends up throwing some bullets right into John, but then John busts him back and ends up sending him on one dangerous zip line. After dushing that lad, he rushes to the roof, but there's no sign of Holly at all, and John warns everyone else to get that feck off the roof in the nicest way possible, or else they'll all go boom boom. But then of course the stupid FBI begin to start shooting at Johnny Boy. John has to get the feck off that roof before it goes boom boom, so he jumps off the feck inside of it just as Hans blows it the fuck up. John manages to Spidey Man his way back inside just as even more stuff begins to blow the fuck up, including the FBI lads.
Gonna need some more FBI guys, I guess.
Meanwhile, the bad lads are getting their escape plan ready in the car park, but in comes Argyle with the save. That lad has just been chilling downstairs in the car park the whole time. Back upstairs, John makes his way down the building to where Holly is being kept. John drops his gun to save Holly, and instead of just shooting him, Hans decides to do the bad guy's speech thing and just rambles on to him for a bit.
Mr. McClane, Americans all alike. Well, this time John Wayne does not walk off into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
It's Gary Cooper, asshole.
Enough jokes.
But ho, John is a crafty lad altogether, and he ends up dusting that lad and sends Hans right out the feckin' window, where he goes wee all the way down to #dushed. With the building in fucking bits and all the bad lads dushed, John and Holly get the feck out of there, and Al and John meet in person to complete their bromance. And the movie film is, oh fuck, it's his Thor back from the dust, trying to kill John, but he gets riddled with bullets. See, I told you, Al was the real hero of the movie film. John says cheers to Al, and he and Holly finally get the feck out of there, and the movie film is dushed. I didn't actually see Die Hard until I was a teenager. It just never seemed to be a film that my parents would be watching at home, or one that I randomly found myself while flicking through channels. I actually think I've seen the third film before I seen this one, but my memory isn't sure on that. I think it was around the time of Live Free or Die Hard that the series really came into the conversation amongst my friends. So I decided to watch the original films before the fourth one came out, and I was like, Horshbox, you feckin' dope. Why didn't you watch these years ago? Die Hard stood out back in the 80s due to its casting of Bruce Willis, who wasn't like your typical 80s action hero like Stallone or Arnie. John McClane was the everyman, a guy who just happens to be in the wrong place at the right time. He doesn't come across as invincible like most 80s heroes did, and this made his character much more believable. He's someone who has real life relationship issues, whose plans don't always work out, and who can get fucked up altogether. Bruce Willis is a great fit for McClane, and you can tell he was happy to be in the role, unlike nowadays where he's just on autopilot and appears in straight to DVD muck. Alan Rickman is a great counterpart to Willis, and he creates one of the most memorable bad guys of all time. Rickman has such an epic voice that lends itself to playing villains, and it wasn't any wonder that he ended up being the perfect casting for Snape in the Harry Potter series. Here he comes across as such a calm, intellectual, and yet menacing character, and plays a great foil for McClane. The rest of the supporting cast of characters, from Holly to Al to the rest of the bad lads, are also well cast and acted, and the touches of humour throughout the film land when they are supposed to. And the action scenes are all greatly directed by McTiernan, being over the top when they need to be and also being held back when the story calls for it. Now, there is a great debate over whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas film. While yes, it is first an action film, it feckin' well is a Christmas film too. I mean, come on, it's set during Christmas, it happens during a Christmas party, it has Christmas music, and a lot of other Christmassy shit in it, so yes, it's a feckin' Christmas movie film. End of story. Die Hard is one of the classics of the action genre. Hell, it pretty much created its own genre, as many films after this tried to capture the same tone and vibe of it. But it's the original and classic that truly stands out, and it's a film that you can watch any time of the year and enjoy. I give Die Hard 9 out of 10 Horshes.